So, all in all, it sounds like a pretty healthy scene for you.
Working on it, as with everybody, working on the edge of chaos, which is sort of what we like to do, actually.
Tell me about your interest in science fiction. Is that
There's a lot of science fiction in both Wooden Ships and Jefferson Starship. Starship started out as a science fiction band, really, coming out of the airplane, and that carries over in a lot of my writing still, in terms of just getting into trying to apply quantum mechanics to songwriting now, and that whole alternate quantum universe kind of theory.
How do you manage that?
I'm working on it. Science fiction is increasingly and ever actually joining circles with science, or fact. And so the lines blur occasionally, and that area in between, there's that little shadowland there that's great to deal with.
So you're making circles with science. How does that fit into songwriting?
I have hardly ever been able to write a simple, honest, true love song. I always have to clutter it up with rocket ships and war and politics and things like that. But they're all intermingled. As science intermingles with science fiction, so does love intermingle with chaos. And the world is in a definite chaos state right now as we sort of head toward the millennium.
Yeah, right.
The millennium's going to be real interesting because things are really bubbling up, and they're both good and bad. I like to call them random factors. Things that just come out of nowhere and occur that you couldn't really have planned for 6 months earlier or a year earlier, and just change the face of things. On an obvious level, the Berlin Wall and the fall of communism, even H. Ross Perot, coming out of nowhere and totally changing the political process in a certain way and putting a new stamp on it. I think a lot of that is going on right now, and is going to continue to accelerate in the number of those kind of factors that occur. And people are going to be, in basic institutions crumbling in front of your very eyes. Look at the royalty in England at the moment. Look at Macy's in Chapter 11. These are like basic institutions of civilization. And what they're replaced with is what's going to be interesting. With the election, I sort of got a sort of glimmer of hope, cautious optimism that here's something that might be good, good for the country, good for the world perhaps. Get rid of all those idiots.
Well, perhaps that's where science fiction comes in, which to me is kind of like an art of the possible. Or
more the art of the impossible, perhaps. For me, science fiction, and I think for a lot of people, opens the door of your mind to be able to accept the, I was going to say unacceptable, but it's the impossible as being everyday occurrence. Or the possibility of it being an everyday occurrence, and it sort of broadens your perspective on how to go about things, how to solve problems, how to deal with people, how to interact with all the various forces that I was just talking about, all this chaos coming along. Chaos can be real good. It's like a wildfire sometimes in a forest. It clears out a lot of the old dense foliage that was smothering the new growth. So the chaos, I don't find chaos bad.